Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate in a fair and honest way. Sharing the screen, showing the disclaimer, and getting into the noble lie. That's what they call it. They've been lying to me. They've been lying to you. They're lying now when they say, nothing to see, the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Is there a noble lie? Yeah. It comes from Plato and those guys. They believe in their republic that there should be rulers, policemen, and then farmers and craftsmen, and by that they mean the artists, the producers. They really go into it. It's a big deal. Even Friedrich Nietzsche, the guy who famously said God is dead, the Antichrist. Why did God reveal himself to humanity? Would God have done something superfluous? People cannot figure out what is good and evil on their own. That is why God taught them his will. Moral, priests do not lie. There is simply no room for lying about truth or untruth in the sorts of issues priests talk about. So they have to tell the truth. Let's go skip down here. The law, the will of God, the holy book, inspiration, all of these are just words for the conditions under which priests come to power and maintain their power. The holy lie, this is common to Confucius, the law book of Manu, Muhammad, and the Christian church. And it is not absent from Plato either. The truth is there. Wherever you hear this, it means that the priest is lying. Wow, that was a mouthful. He's one of their big thinkers. This video explains it as real world examples of the noble lie. George Washington cut down the cherry tree. Didn't belong to the Freemasons. If he did, it was, our country is a light on the hill. We're a special people, a melting pot that, you know, with political propaganda can be stirred up to fight like almost anybody. Look at it. The AI just gives you an answer whether you ask it or not. The noble lie is a concept introduced in the book Plato's Republic, referring to a myth or falsehood propagated by rulers, the philosophers, to maintain social order and promote the harmony. Deliberate falsehood. Those dirty dog liars. It won't take long. It won't take long, brother. Here. So the Renaissance basically, cultural movement from the 1400s to the 1700s. Social change in most fields and disciplines, art, architecture. This is their story. They want us to go back to a noble lie. They've been lying, and we know it. They covered up the truth, but the wide road is going to believe it, and they're going to fight to maintain it. This is Wikipedia's, our white man world. The rest of the world is not white. And they're not, they study these things and know what's going on. And They know there's been a noble lie. It goes back to the Renaissance. It's what they believe. Reformation, Counter-Reformation, and Christianity resolves to believe in the Trinity and everything's okay. Well, that's part of the noble lie. What's this? This is just some other where they baited Japan into the war.
The back door. But Roosevelt miscalculated badly. In the years after Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt's motives became a battlefield. Critics pointed to his escalating pressure on Japan, the embargo, the relocation of the fleet to Hawaii, and the hardened diplomatic stance as steps meant to force a confrontation. From Navy stock, the other two would be chartered civilian schooners, hastily militarized. The Asiatic fleet, largely a symbolic force composed of 3 cruisers, 13 aging World War I-era 4-stack destroyers.
That's like the Arizona was aging World War I.
And no fighter planes, did possess a significant asset, 27 submarines. These subs were not only capable of performing reconnaissance missions from the surface, but they could do
in a different position. He went to America as a preacher to take care of all the German and other Lutheran denominations there. And from there, he and his family developed into quite a influential American Republican family.
This was really good way to, Rising Tide Foundation. That's like probably a very conservative Republican thing. The rising tide raises all ships, famous quote from the Ronald Reagan, talking about, these guys. Just catch this little bit.
Importance of being true to your beliefs, of doing what is right, even if it means harm for your own personal well-being. So this is the stuff of which the plays of Shakespeare tell us a lot. They also tell us about the other side of despotism and tyranny. But I think it is fair, as I've heard, that Thomas Morris was not, or Shakespeare would not have been possible if Thomas More had not continued with his refusal to pledge loyalty to Henry VIII.
Wow. Pledge loyalty to Henry VIII. He probably was nobly lying, like the Texans at the Alamo when they made a deal with Mexico. Yeah, we'll come there and we'll be Roman Catholic like you because you've asked us to and you let us settle and now it's ours. Rhymes with itches. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here.
We also have John Harvard, who was a fellow Stratfordian. I have heard in a talk which I listened to on the LaRouche archives given by...
Oh, Lyndon LaRouche, okay. Increased Mather, Cotton Mather, relative, witch trial, Salem, Harvard.
And Cotton Mather, sorry, that's what I was going to, because this will get us, again, please know and bear with me, there are many connections.
Are they believing a noble lie? I keep seeing this situation going on. What's the... I'm going to go ahead a little bit more here. Here, look at he's this guy.
The Scottish nobleman who was involved in the uprising of the Scotch in 1715 about the accession of George I on the English throne and also onto the Scottish throne. So the Jacobite.
They were free, and the white free people had to do something because they were organized. And this is right after what, in my world, I'm telling you the truth. The Lord showed me the flat earth nation, golden age past. And in my world, these were the people, the Hellfire Club, the Benjamin Franklin. What else you'll learn here was what?
All the way around to the Gulf of Mexico, with having the conductors in other rivers as the Ohio and Mississippi River. So this is the kind of ideas which those guys exchange. You may laugh about it today, but it is something where they try to systematically access the laws of nature to improve man's.
Yeah, I think they were selling the noble lie. They go back to the brethren of the common light. This is at the beginning. These guys,
their course in life, they achieve their happiness. And of course, the brethren of the common life were very much focused on following Christ, the example of Christ. Therefore, the brethren were also concerned about having written material, so copied Bible and other religious text available, and that's why there was another need to educate the orphans, basically, which they were taking care of.
The orphans? Oh, wow. Anyway, there's some talented people in the world. I'm telling you the truth. Check this guy out. I have to tell you the truth. I'm a little bit jealous. I wish I could play the slide on a short guitar with an old oil can. I was trying to find a spot where I could jump in there and, go, we got a home in glory land that outshines the sun. More truth? Huh, I guess these are deleted. We know the truth. This is my algorithm, Guess it's what they want me to learn. A lot of times I have to search stuff. Heartbreaking loss in Texas. It's New World Order taking over. They're giving us a noble lie. It's mostly the same old things. We know they're lying. Oh, there's nothing to see of the Epstein connection. Come on. I came here where I am to prove that they're liars. I was trying to make a Play-Doh connection. There, it's there somewhere. There's some Play-Doh. But they do try to form you, to press you into a mold and make you into something. It's a noble lie. Give it to me, young man.
Against this charge. It's just obvious to Plato that successful. The noble lie arises in the context of Socrates and his interlocutor of the dialogue, Glaucon, imagining an ideal society. They envision three classes: the rulers, guardians, and the producers. The noble lie reinforces this social structure, fostering a belief that everyone is family, born of the same mother, the soil of the city.
As the Bible teaches, we're born from the dust of the rocks that are preserved in judgment. Yikes. That's the truth.
and nurturing a sense of loyalty so strong that one will protect the society and each other at all costs. This is an odd picture, but to soften the apparent arbitrariness of this, I want to add two quick things before we get into the ethics of lying. Firstly, Socrates expresses reluctance and even embarrassment at proposing this idea. He is not proudly advocating a malicious propaganda
No, what do they have to do? You know it's coming. They're doing it for our own good.
campaign. His motivation is to do what is best for the community. And secondly, keep in mind, foundation myths were not uncommon in the ancient world. For example, Rome's story of Romulus and Remus, which served a similar purpose in uniting its people. So, what
You get it. Kinda.
that's a pure lie. But aren't there spoken lies that are told for good reasons? What about lying to a friend who is not in their right mind to prevent them from hurting themselves or others? Wouldn't this be
Yeah, you can prevent the you can tell them, "No, those pants don't make your that look big." That's helpful? I don't know. I don't it's
actions? So the telling of helpful lies ought only to be enunciated by the rulers to protect the city. The rulers, he says,
and lie for the good of the community when either an external or an internal threat makes it necessary.
ordinary citizens, on the other hand,
so there there it is. I don't have we can flesh this out. That's all we can do is flesh it out and tie it into what we know is true about what they've done. The Brethren of Common Life, Roman Catholic, Jesuit, prior pietist religious community, founded in the Netherlands. Jeha Groot, formerly a successful and worldly educator who had had a religious experience and preached a life of simple devotion to Jesus Christ. So, but this ended up being the Hellfire Club or something, connected with all the. We're an important religious movement of the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, and their emphasis on education, personal piety, social justice had a profound influence on the religious and intellectual culture of Europe over time. The communities of the Netherlands, where the pilgrims went to be educated, I don't know, conventional monastic character as observant canons, monks, and nuns. And then they were all motivated. We got to spread the word through the world about their Trinity Catholic Church through the St. Mary's hospitals, St. Vincent hospitals, St. Joseph. I guess this is a big deal, but influencing every, and they all came to the one belief that they would, burn people alive that renounced the Trinity because it wasn't good for the city or their book sales. New learning, Renaissance humanism, the whole history of ideas, intellectual history, and it was Marian England of all the new learning came up in relation to reading the Bible, whatever. Francis Bacon, he him, John Dee, the guys that faked the Shakespeare, that the coordinates lead you to the Giza and the aliens are coming. But there was a world where there's still this. From the late 1600s, early 1700s, when Satan is loose, they still got to explain this. Well, these guys had special chairs in churches because during the 1,000-year reigns, people were still pretending. Goes back, documented in the Doomsday Book. It's pronounced Doomsday. from what they say is that year, we don't know. This was something that was given to the rulers. The office of prebendary is retained by certain Church of England dioceses to this day as an honorary title for senior parish priests who served their whole life and have, been faithful the whole time. They've got an argument that they had special place to sit. Historically, they got some money given to them so that they could say, yeah, we kept the status quo. They did it. These guys did it. I really didn't have time to, look up, go like, oh, here's a cool page. Look, it's blank. No, it's not. I did pull up this one part here where Plato's laden weights made me think, I wonder what that is. It still hampered Mr. Andrews' movement. It was hardly to be expected that he should be at once shake off the whole of the bad traditions of the English coin. They were studying coins at this point, and they just, that's not something that we study anymore. The spiritual and psychological fetters, Plato's concept, not the Bible's. And he's the guy that presented the noble lie. He likes the noble lie that prevent people from seeing true realities. Oh, that's what caused you to believe in shadow people. These weights, it says, gravitate towards sensual pleasures and deflect visions downward. So I guess for all of the high-mindedness, some people still like to tend it downward. So what is the noble lie, the allegory of the cave, presenting as, here's what I believe is the noble lie. These guys, they're and their whole Trinity thing. Old world church, they want you to think, well, if we could just get into Christmas, enjoy their old music, they liked it, I'll like it. Why should I? Whatever. That's so fake. Start young, get people to believe. If you're looking for the spiritual, forget the fact they used to burn people alive. Believe in the Trinity, and you found it. And it has a special night that helps the money get spread around. Anyway, they rock it, right? I mean, this is a thing, the whole Trans-Siberian Orchestra. The Masonic Beethoven did something in a lightning storm in 1827. It's still the Trinity. It's rock and roll. It's some sort of their lie. The Platonic people, 3 higher level exist: natural science, math, geometry, logic. Everybody studies it. Everybody loves the Republic. If you want to be smart, you got to know about these things. They talk about the wreck of the Hesperus. What's that? The pillars, why, who would do this? Why would they do this? They don't have enough light to look down at their own arm and feel their own flesh and go, hey, well, I make no connection. I have no idea. I only think that that's the shadow. I don't know. It's a stretch. But they would have the people believe that this is the best thing. It brought about the vote. It takes strictly Jesus and believing the Bible into mythological. Is he Jupiter? Is it Zeus? Who cares if they chose Barabbas? The whole idea of the noble lie, the myth, the lie, you do it for social order and for greater good. So really, that's it. I mean, Easter Bunny much? Christmas time, I know, is a big deal for everyone. So that's what I call keeping it short because I'm busy. I've got to go and find out why did they lie to me here? Because now I go like, I understand you believe in the noble lie, but what do we do now that I'm I'm a philosopher too, telling the truth about Jesus? So what do we do now? I've caught you lying to me. So I have that. And the other VA people I talk to, it's like, I've got a person, they have a person that comes and cleans their apartment twice a month. Nobody told me about that. We were all going to remake the world 20 years ago. Hey, Don? Hey, remember, the truth, the way, and the life are different than those who are going to continue to hold on to what they consider a noble lie. Also, remember, it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. They added 1,000 years. They supplied us with the orphan trained brain because it's shocking that our parents and our grandparents had to be in on it. They didn't get institutionalized, lobotomized, sterilized, euthanized. No, they've left us their noble lie. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakaman. That's basically adios, amigo.